Et c'est le retour du live normalement. Normalement, le live est de retour pour vous jouer un fabuleux tour. J'ai pas récupéré le chat encore, j'espère que ça va arriver. Normalement, c'est au bon. Blue Billy paraît perplexe, oui, je suis assez d'accord. Je suis assez d'accord. Tu es de retour, c'est parfait. C'est parfait. Allez. Continuons ce jeu de l'arnaque. Yop la Simian.
No, wait, never mind. Not the
Voilà,
story.
et cul-de-sac
Okay,
encore,
let's head
fabuleux.
back the other way
Fabuleux.
And retrace our steps.
Bonne idée, Fran. Et nous avons Grace qui se rabonne pour la 3e fois. Un grand merci à toi, Grace. C'est très très gentil de ta part. Tu es donc un membre confirmé de la Glue Family. Merci beaucoup. Bon. On y retourne, hein. Donc il vient de me dire 2 fois de faire demi-tour. Voilà. Je sais pas où on va.
Now this, well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building.
Et un d'un Pépito Poulpe qui nous dit j'avais envie de faire une blague sur des magasins, mais je sais pas si elle aurait super marché.
Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Merci,
Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job.
Ah bon, on a gagné, on a fini le jeu.
Oh no. No,
Non,
I
apparemment
don't
non,
feel
on n'a pas
right
fini
about
le jeu.
this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay? I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is.
Morgan, est-ce qu'on est un membre confirmé de la Glue Family? Quand tu te réabonnes, oui, tu es un membre confirmé. Ça, il faut recommencer encore? Tu me fous ma gueule un peu quand même, hein?
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Ok. On va suivre là les lignes. Je ne sais pas. Je ne sais pas. Je ne sais pas. Je ne sais pas. Qu'est-ce que je fais? Qu'est-ce que je fais? Qu'est-ce que je fais, mon Dieu? Ma curiosité. On me dit d'aller par là et du coup j'ai envie d'aller de l'autre côté. Ah là là, ce choix. Suis pas à gauche. Fais le dissident. Mange des chipolatas, ne suis pas tout droit. Allez, tout droit.
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Ah, apparemment j'ai pas le choix. J'ai pas le choix. Apparemment j'ai pas le choix.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Très bien, oui. Bon, il veut vraiment que je suive la ligne. Marcher sur le mur. Vous allez voir par là. Il n'y a rien. Hein? Oh, il y a nouveau la ligne là. Mais c'est pas la même ligne. C'est pas la même ligne. Je sais pas où elle est. Et Gloobily tombe. On va suivre cette ligne là.
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Ouais, c'est une plante. C'est une plante. Compte le nombre de feuilles. Ça a l'air génial. Ça a l'air génial.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Ok. Ça, c'est d'où on vient, ça, c'est le début, ça. Allons-y. Allons-y. Donc je venais de par là. Donc on va aller par là. Il n'y a pas trop le choix. Ah bah non, nous revoilà là.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Ok. Ok.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Sinon j'ai pas le choix. Donc,
Now, yes, this is exciting.
Ah oui,
Just me and
exciting,
Stanley
c'est le mot.
forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
une histoire d'amitié et avec, je sais pas, des petits dindons.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Magnifique pièce.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here.
J'ai pas du tout l'impression qu'on me prend pour un con. Pas du tout.
Pas
du tout.
Corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending?
Ah!
And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
On fait quoi, on reste là?
Timer stopped? Does that mean... did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know?
Nice
Will
news.
someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in
Il
some
faut tout retenir pour la suite,
this
mais
is a
bien sûr.
kind of story,
Mais bien
wouldn't
sûr.
you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
Salut Lumos.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Je suis obligé d'aller à gauche.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
The future was yesterday, tomorrow is now. Funding. Uh-huh. What do people want? Things. Qu'est-ce qu'il a effacé? Happy feelings. Money, more money. Things, but with money to buy more things. Graph about things plus money. Profit, profit, profit. If you have found yourself in a conflict with another diligent employee like yourself, but more inclined toward conflict, unless you're the kind of... Ah, j'ai pas le temps de lire. Yep, Kusma. Talk less, do unbelievably amazing work all the time, every day, with no expectation of promotion or recognition. Don't get fired. Ok, ça c'est les types pour how to solve a dispute with a coworker. Let it ball up inside you. Take it out passive aggressively on other coworker. Resent coworker for not supporting you more. Ok. Ok, ok. Salut Vatronak. Yep, Proview. On va continuer, hein. Oh, je sais plus.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Est-ce qu'il y a vraiment rien?
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Ah, pas de raison de rester ici.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why?
Yep,
Please
Goku.
offer me some
Yep,
explanation
Flame.
here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Yopling-Kusan.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Fédère Gantz. Et un grand merci à Obrigan qui rejoint la Gloulou Family. Bienvenue à toi, merci beaucoup du soutien, c'est très très gentil de ta part. Bienvenue dans la confrérie du dinde.
When a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. He or she has fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place at the computer, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Il va se passer quelque chose ou c'est fini? Apparemment. Yop Larax.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
Si j'y retourne maintenant.
You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Yep, c'est tout pris. Il peut se passer encore des choses ou pas du tout. Il va falloir sortir là. Il va peut-être falloir sortir. Ah, c'est ce que je pensais tester. Bon, apparemment, c'est peut-être un truc à la con, faut rester 10 minutes, j'en sais rien. Bon, allez, on va continuer. Même si j'ai très envie de rester longtemps dans ce... et voir ce qui se passe.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
J'ai tendance à vraiment pas vouloir faire ce qu'il me dit, hein. Oui, une voiture.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All
Salut
of my
Dumaka.
co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation.
Yep,
His co-workers were actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Non, Lumos qui me dit que je dois avancer pendant qu'il parle, non, je l'écoute pour le moment.
Himself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that?
Arrêtez de me dire faut avancer ou autre. Je peux jouer de la façon que j'ai envie de jouer. Merci.
If he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job.
Krayn, fais comme tu le sens, c'est un bon conseil. C'est un bon conseil, merci.
My life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss, I have an office, I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real, I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ok.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
Et un dindon de Solveig qui nous dit: j'en profite pour vous souhaiter que le live de demain soit une réussite critique. Longue vie à notre glouglou. Un grand merci à toi, Solveig, pour ce joli dindon. Merci beaucoup, c'est très gentil. Ok.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
On va l'écouter.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
C'est du thé, pseudo-free.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him?
Non, trop vieux.
What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
T'aurais pu essayer le placard à balai. vrai que j'aurais pu essayer d'autres codes, ouais.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now?
Rien comprendre, c'est le
Again,
principe du
it had
jeu,
never
hein.
occurred to him.
Florent.
This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
C'est marqué Escape. C'est marqué Escape. Mind Control Facility. Oh, escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Non. Il croit pas.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death. Into motion, and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise. He reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So
Je veux partir. Je veux sauter là-bas. Aïe, aïe, aïe. Aïe, aïe.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Le jeu c'est de Stanley Parable. Un jeu... un jeu qui se fout de ta gueule.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Super. Super. C'était bien. C'était très très bien. C'était très très bien. Ok.
Where were all of his co-workers? Oh, I don't know. How about they're throwing a surprise party for him for all his button pushing? Does that sound plausible to you?
Ah, c'est intéressant, des trucs sur le développement qui sont marqués. Je sais pas si le jeu c'est la réponse pour la vie, hein, mais... Freedom Ending, ça a l'air bien ça. Il me faut la Freedom Ending. Non, j'ai pas vu. Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Countdown Desk. D'accord. Freedom Ending, ça va très très bien. Un truc par là. Countdown Room. Game Design Mockup. Trop de choses. Il y a trop de choses. Qu'est-ce qui se passe quand ça arrive à 0? Non, non. Ça va très bien se passer demain soir. Ça se passera très très bien. Ok, et là on remonte là, d'accord. Il y a plusieurs versions de l'office de Stanley, est-ce qu'il y a des choses différentes? Ah oui, là il y a un ordinateur en plus. Ah oui, non, c'est pas le même à chaque fois. D'accord, il peut avoir... Ou alors c'est... Ah, c'est l'évolution. 2011 le premier, 2012 le deuxième, et en 2013 ils sont partis sur ça. C'est très très intéressant de faire ça dans un jeu, c'est vraiment bien vu. Faire un musée qui explique plein de choses du développement, je trouve ça génial. Je trouve ça génial.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No.
Qui donc? Le on et le off?
Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Je vois pas pourquoi je pourrais pas prendre 2 thé demain.
You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path.
Tu veux que je fasse quoi? Il n'y a pas quitté. Ah, on se retourne au menu. Oh non! Il m'a dit de faire échappe et de faire quitter. Ah.
This is the... How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
J'ai pris la porte de droite au tout début déjà.
I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks. No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417? Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437. Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
Je veux bien, mais elle est où? 415. 416, 405.
Now, back to door number 437.
437. Allez.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine?
Elle est où la photocopieuse? Elle est où la photocopieuse? Il me faut une photocopieuse. Il n'y a pas de photocopieuse. Ah, je l'ai loupé la photocopieuse. Elle est où? Non, il n'y en a pas. Hein. Près de la porte 437? Non, il n'y en a pas. Pas de photocopieuse. Ah là, ici. Elle est là.
All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Magnifique.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk. Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416. We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one again! Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 43's! Yes! We did
Achievements
it!
unlock!
Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh,
Magnifique.
you earned it, Stanley.
Magnifique.
Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago, you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now, what were you thinking?
Voilà. Bon, du coup, qu'est-ce qu'on fait? On n'a pas été dans la mine control room. On n'a pas été dans la mine control room. Salut, Gilles.
Yet there was not a single person here.
Oui, j'ai eu un succès, les toits avertis.
Feeling a wave of disbelief,
J'ai
Stanley
eu un
decided
succès.
to go up to his
Enfin, ça,
boss's
j'ai eu un truc
office,
à pop en haut à
hoping he
gauche.
might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikelihood that this would ever result in a correct combination. If he knew that the combo was 2845, it would be another story entirely. But no, this is what he was going to do instead. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. "2845.
Bon, il a l'air de rien se passer, hein.
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself.
Ah,
and Stanley
genre,
got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Genre, ça fait la même chose. Ça fait la même chose. Ça me fait marrer les gens qui répètent 2845 comme si j'avais pas compris. Je peux pas retaper dessus maintenant que c'est ouvert. Non, bon, il dit plus rien. Ok, on peut redescendre. Oh, j'ai pas fait 69. Quelle tristesse. Quelle tristesse.
Stanley walked straight ahead through
Là,
the
on a
large
déjà
door
fait
that
escape
read
là-bas.
Mind Control
Donc on va
Facility.
tester Mind Control Facility.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Ah, on est en bas.
What horrible
D'habitude, on
secret
était
did
par
this
là-bas.
place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Pas trop le choix apparemment. Salut Jokami. J'ai pas trop le choix. Donc là, on a un bouton. Là, oh, rien de spécial. J'ai pas trop le choix non plus.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom.
J'aurais dû regarder
meant
laquelle était
nothing.
427. Et nous avons Atrium qui rejoint la Glouglou Family. Bienvenue à toi. Merci du soutien, Atrium. C'est très très gentil de ta part. Bienvenue dans la confrérie du Dindon. Merci beaucoup. Ah, 427. Ici. D'accord. fait, on voit le bureau. Rien de particulier. Rien de particulier.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Ah, merci à toi, Trim, c'est très très gentil. Et pour ton message aussi. Ok.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Yep, Puncher. Bon, il y a un 4. Peut-être qu'il y a un 1, un 2 et un 3 à trouver avant. On va essayer de voir si on trouve des trucs. Peut-être pas du tout. Ah, si, il y a un 1 là, regardez, hop. Deux, il faudra trouver le 3. Où qu'il est le 3? Cinq, ici. 3, ok. Bon, espérons qu'il se passe quelque chose. Espérons qu'il se passe quelque chose. Y'a John Jambon. Je suis déception. Je suis déception. Le jeu c'est ce Stanley Parable. Un jeu... le jeu du troll. Sol Isabelle, il n'y a pas moyen de là. Si je le fais à l'envers, si je fais 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. De bien servir un truc ces boutons là. Ces boutons avec un ordre. Ok, non. 0, 1, 4, 2, 0, 0, 1. Qu'est-ce que tu veux que j'en fasse? Qu'est-ce que tu veux que j'en fasse? J'ai pas trouvé de bouton 0. 0, 1, 4, 2. Qu'est-ce que tu veux que j'en fasse? Là, je peux pas appuyer là-dessus. Tu fasses quoi au fait, nous dit Benji Gundam? Si je le savais, si je le savais. Zéro, 5, 2, 1. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Un 0 quelque part hein, que j'ai loupé ou... Ouais. Bon, j'ai plus d'idée là. Là, j'ai plus d'idée. Il y a peut-être plein de codes à essayer, mais on va dire que... On va dire que... Ah, attends, c'est quoi ça? On peut descendre? Non, on peut pas descendre. On peut pas descendre. Non, 2, 8, 4, 5, c'est pas possible. On va avancer, hein. On va avancer.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Il y a deux boutons! Il y a deux boutons! Il veut que je fasse off. J'ai vu qu'il y avait des chiffres sur les murs, mais il y a un 0. Il n'y a pas de 0, D-Make. Il n'y a pas de 0.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going. What all this means, I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside.
Il y a vraiment un code pour annuler la bombe.
Crisp. I have to say this though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear.
Oh, je ne comprends rien.
Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me.
Genre.
Do you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving
Comprends pas ce qu'il veut.
It's just seconds
Bouton
ticking
3.
away.
Ok, il a le bouton 3.
You're only still playing instead
je
of watching
fasse
a
avec.
cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
Goodbye, employee.
Take a look at the clock, Stanley.
Photo
That's
seven.
30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go
Je sais
peacefully?
pas où aller.
Choice.
Je sais pas quoi faire.
Or death.
Au
It's
secours.
all the same to me, all
Au
part of the
secours.
journey. And believe me, I will be laughing at every
secours.
second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say
Regardez
happily ever
le
after.
timer. Voilà. Oui, appuyer sur off, c'est le premier truc que j'ai testé, Demon.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
Je suis sûr qu'il y avait un moyen d'annuler. Je pense aussi, mais j'ai pas trouvé ce que
When
c'était.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah, j'ai pris à gauche, on prendra à droite après. Ah, c'est l'anniversaire de JJCXD. Bon anniversaire à toi.
Hoping he might come into a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Le narrateur qui me dit que je vais trop vite, que je lui laisse pas en placer une, et du coup qui nous met de la musique New Age.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Oui, j'ai essayé Tenirias. Je suis pas resté 20 minutes non plus, mais... Je stream quasiment tous les soirs, oui. Il y a des fois où j'enregistre des épisodes d'aventure, puis une fois de temps en temps, il faut que je prenne une soirée de pause aussi. Chose que j'ai pas fait depuis des semaines.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Il va falloir se retaper tous les machins.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen.
J'ai déjà fait ça, catacombe.
Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Le triple écran, c'est tellement 2014 comparé à ça, nous dit Beachy Boy.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own
ça me tente pas des masses,
someone
Warwick.
else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he
Ah, il faut que tu
truly
regardes
spent his
le
entire
replay,
life
la Gaveline,
utterly
pour voir la
blind to
fin.
the world?
On a fini le jeu hier.
But here was
C'est un
the
masque
truth,
de Darth Vader
the heart
derrière moi.
of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exist. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Achievement unlock, beat the game. Elle était très bien cette fin. Je l'ai écoutée, je suis libre et heureux. Elle est très très bien. On l'a fait hier, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, Kimo. Oui, je suis déjà allé à gauche avant d'entrer dans la Mind Control Room, mais ça s'est pas bien passé.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider.
Oui, j'ai essayé, je crois.
Yes, really, really worth it, Big. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Donc là, voilà, j'avais tourné ici. Donc là, on va prendre un choix différent. On va aller par là.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Là, on n'est jamais allé.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Je peux
I'm
tomber ou
not your
pas?
enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that but in his eagerness to
Ah oui.
prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Ok, on pouvait, c'était possible. C'était possible.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Il y a quelqu'un qui me poursuit. Genre, il y a quelqu'un qui me poursuit.
When Stanley came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ah! Je sais pas! Je sais pas! Mon Dieu! Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Bleu, bleu, tout le monde me dit bleu. On va faire bleu. Allez, bleu.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Mais bleu.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.